I am very, very, very enthused and happy to be sitting here with a longtime friend of mine, Toby Hill. Toby has been a chef on Cape Cod for 4 or 5 years at local restaurants, and as of February, he has taken over as the executive chef of the Lyric. Toby, how you doing, friend?
Pleasure, Jim, pleasure.
Toby, you are a big, big, big supporter of the local agriculture industry, shellfish industry, sustainable, employing your employees locally. How did all of this come? How did Toby Hill become the celebrity chef of Cape Cod that Toby Hill is?
First, you got to stop calling me that, but I'll tell you. I first opened my restaurant. I had a restaurant in Chatham back in 05, 06, and you know, I was doing really creative food, and you know, we got a lot of rave reviews, but we weren't getting the business. And
welcome to Cape Cod. There's over 3,000 restaurants on Cape Cod.
A local chef, a couple local chefs, really befriended me, and you know, became huge fans of what I was doing. One of those was Gil Pepin, who used to own 902 Main in Yarmouth, and we struck up a good friendship. And I would go to his restaurant, and you know, I was buying really amazing ingredients, but you know, they were often flown from everywhere, you know, and I walked into his restaurant, and there were farmers coming in his back door constantly. I mean, I think one visit there were 3 different farmers that walked in at one point, and he was, and I'd always strive to build relationships with farmers, but you know, there's always kind of a divide between farmers and practical use in restaurants. You know?
Well, farmers make chefs look good.
Stop it. So I'd always strive to build relationships with local farms. You know, we had reached out to farms, you know, but a lot of them don't deliver. A lot of them, you know, you have to go get it, and that becomes a problem. But when I met Gil, he had built such a huge relationship with farmers, and the way he did it was he kind of just took what they had and worked with it. You know what I mean?
Right.
And you know, a lot of the complaints about using local stuff is that they can't get it consistently. You know what I mean? They can buy the same greens. They always look the same from any
Produce
big company. And in a lot of these restaurants, they just want that continuity. Well, you're not going to get that from a local farm, but what you're going to get is the best tasting produce around. You know where it came from. You know who picked it. The flavor's outstanding.
Traceability. And accountability.
And Gil just kind of opened that door for me. I mean, it changed the way I looked at dealing with farmers, and since that day, I've always strived to do that. So
2005, you had your own little restaurant. Where'd you go from there?
Oh, all over the place. I went to Boston for a long time. Was at the Renaissance Hotel for a couple of years.
Ooh, very nice.
Yeah, and then moved back to. I mean, I was living on the Cape, but commuting to Boston every day. But then got a job in 2009. At Pan de Vignon.
Yeah, excellent restaurant.
And that's where I really kind of implemented what I learned from Gil and met you. I mean, you were actually one of the first farmers that I met. You know, started bringing me tomatoes, and then it grew from there, tomatoes and lettuce. And, you know, then we started getting meats and everything.
Are you a self-taught chef, or are you educated, or did you learn from a lot of other chefs, or is it a little bit of everything?
A little bit of everything. You know, I don't have much of a mentor, you know, one chef that I could look back and say I could attribute a lot of my skill to. But
who taught you your basic principles on cooking?
It was probably my culinary teacher, my tech program when I was in high school. His name was Mr. Lanou, and that's really where I learned how to cook. I loved to cook with my mom as a kid, and that's what put me into that culinary class in ninth grade. But that's really where I learned it. I learned a lot more in that tech program, I swear, than I did in college.
Really?
And
now, where'd you go to college for cooking?
I went to Johnson and Wales.
In Rhode Island?
In Rhode Island, yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, and it was, it put me in a good place. I got into a good restaurant afterwards. And
good.
Yeah.
Well, tell me, I know that you had a very successful run at Pond Avignon.
Yeah.
Put them kind of on the map a little bit, took them from a sandwich shop to an elegant dinner restaurant. And Rebecca had taken over for you after you had left. Now, Lyric. We're in Lyric. We're in beautiful Yarmouth Port, historic Route 6A, Cranberry Highway, if nobody knows there. What hours are you open here, and what's your kind of plan for the Lyric?
Currently, we're open Wednesday through Saturday nights for dinner only. And then Sunday, we just do brunch. But as the season comes along, we'll stop doing brunch, and then we'll eventually phase into 7 full nights through the summer, and then go back to doing brunch in the off seasons.
Right. Now, Melissa Allen had been here for a couple years since whoever the
just after it opened.
Yeah, just after it opened, and she's moved on to, where'd she go?
She is at the corner store in Chatham.
Corner store in Chatham.
Yeah.
It's hard to keep up with you chefs. You chefs, you should have your own reality show about the life and times of Cape Cod chefs. Great. Yeah, Melissa did really well
Yeah,
here.
I mean, we should speak about Melissa. She did really well here, I think. I think she stabilized this restaurant and what it was. She was always a huge supporter of mine. Used to come to Pond Avignon all the time when I was there. So I have immense respect for her.
But she was fairly creative as a chef.
Absolutely, and she essentially handpicked me for the job. I mean,
right. She had bought a lot of local stuff. She was trying to get into that local stuff.
She told she told Ann, the owner, that I was the one to go after. So
well, the reputation is in the bag. We know how well you are.
You.
A couple other highlights about Toby. Toby, I've had the benefit of auctioning you off for fundraisers.
A few times,
A few times. A couple times for $10,000, $11,000.
I believe we set a record once.
We set a record. You brought more money than the chef up at Chatham's Bar's Inn, which
same amount of money, I think, but
I was the auctioneer, so I think it went for a little.
They gave a whole lot more in their auction lot.
They gave to an excellent cause. It was capabilities.
Yeah, their auction lot was much bigger than mine. But.
Right. Capabilities is a nonprofit organization on Cape Pier that works with adults with developmental disabilities through vocational and day-hab services and residential services and a whole bunch of other wonderful things there. But you give yourself up to the United Way every year.
Yeah.
And the United Way, they do their auction. When's their auction?
I don't know the specific date this year, but it's a pre-summer, late spring, pre-summer event.
Pre-summer, late spring, and you go and you prepare a meal for people.
Yeah, me and myself and a bunch of other restaurants show up, and we have a little bite, and everyone can enjoy it, and and then I'll usually do an auction lot in the live auction. So. Right,
and you bring relatively good money to. For that, and that goes to support a local organization that gives to a local nonprofit organization.
Absolutely, it helps the homeless on Cape Cod.
It helps the homeless, but it helps sustain employment for people on the Cape. It's all local. This is all local. So, getting back to your clientele here, is it a lot of tourists or is it a lot of locals? Have you seen that?
A lot of locals. I mean, we're only 2 weeks in, but. I've certainly seen a lot of locals. I mean, a lot of my friends from the past have shown up in support, and
that's because of Facebook or Twitter.
A little both.
Now, Facebook and Twitter it's Facebook Toby Hill, or is it Twitter Toby Hill, or?
My Twitter handle is at Toby T Hill.
Yeah.
Or at Chef Toby T Hill. Facebook, I forget what it is, but it's Chef Toby Hill. So,
Chef Toby
yeah.
Hill. So if anybody's interested in finding Toby Hill, if you kind of lost where Toby Hill was for the last 6-7 months,
Yeah. Hit me up.
look him up on Facebook and things like that. Let's get back to the local farmers. You have been a great participant with capabilities, Miss Scarlett's, Ron Backer's, which is Surrey Farm.
Surrey Farm, yeah.
Who else have you participated with?
Tim Fryery,
Tim
Cape Cod
Fryery.
Organic Farm, a lot. Several farmers. Veronica Worthington, I
Yeah.
try to deal with as much as I can. I mean, it's just, Ron Backer often will get her lettuce and
Right.
supply it to me, so that's always nice because she makes fabulous lettuce.
Veronica Worthington is
Yeah.
the lettuce queen at Cape Cod.
She is purely amazing. Yeah.
She grows heirloom variety lettuces in West Dennis and in
Harwich, yeah.
Harwich at Pleasant Lake Farms, which Pleasant Lake Farms is owned by Skipper Lee. Skipper Lee is a farmer there in Harwich off of Pleasant Lake. They have Pleasant Lake is a beautiful farm in Harwich, nestled back in the woods. Veronica has been growing lettuce forever on the Cape, and she's
pretty
known
amazing.
as the lettuce queen here in the Cape. She's a little hard to deal with at times because she's pretty stubborn at what her prices are at, but with a little work, she'll come around. She has her daughter now helping her, so things have been a little bit better.
I got a good story about her. This was way back when I had my restaurant in Chatham. I went to buy lettuce from her, and I had met her through Gil Pepin at 902 Main, and so I drive into her farm in Dennis, and she's in the garden in like hot pants, shorts,
Right.
and a bra. That's it. It was the most uncomfortable farming experience of my life. But that's the way she is. I mean, she just doesn't really care what people think about her. I mean, she's amazing, amazing farmer. So
I had the pleasure of talking to Veronica last night. We're going to be doing a show with Veronica at Tuckernuck Farms, and she's on Fisk Street in West Dennis, and she has a little farm stand. She raises sheep, and she has fiber.
Yeah.
Matter of fact, Veronica's Ram Shetland sheep was grand champion at the Eastern States Fair, which is in September
that's
in
awesome.
Springfield. And to be the grand champion wool sheep in Shetlands, which they probably have a couple hundred breeds that they judge, that's quite an accomplishment for a girl from Cape Cod that raises sheep and grows lettuce. So what are you looking to do this year? How are you looking to expand all of your local needs and wants? And
just continue to tighten my relationships with farmers like yourself. And, I think the big thing for me is, just as it is with a lot of the local farmers like yourself and like Tim Fryer especially, is meats. I mean, there's not a lot of local meats right now, and, you're doing pigs and poultry and Tim's
we
doing
raise the
pigs,
best
so-
turkeys and best chickens east of the Mississippi. Now, I know that's a
That's
big
right.
statement, but Miss Scarlett's Blue Ribbon Farm, turkeys, poultry, posies, produce, and everything else. Toby, are you going to enlighten us with now? What's your style of cooking? There's French cuisine, there's Russian, there's Polish.
I think I'm mostly influenced by, traditional American cuisines, regional cuisines, French, and mostly Italian.
Right.
You'll see touches of all that in my food, but it's most importantly based on made from scratch, local products as much as possible. So.
Right. Well, anything else you'd like to enlighten the world on?
Well, I was going to tell you that you should look into this new Trace and Trust program. A few chef friends of mine in Boston are using it, and it started in the fishing industry, and they're now branching out into some meat farms. And it's a program where the product is tagged with a kind of a UPC code or whatever, and you you can run that code online, and it'll tell you exactly where the fish came from, or exactly
What farm
when
it came
the
from.
farm, the farmer, when it was killed, all that information.
Right.
So it's something that I've been looking into on Cape Cod. There's currently no fishermen using it on Cape Cod yet, but you know, it's something that's really interesting, and
Right.
you know.
Now, you was talking about shellfish. What we have oyster fishermen and clam fishermen and lobstermen and longliners and shortliners and everything else. You deal with the local fishermen also?
Yeah. I mean, for a long time, I've had a great relationship with Pat Woodbury and Wellfleet and Les Hemela, Barnstable Sea Farms. Called me this morning to tell me he couldn't get out to oysters, so we can't get oysters today, which is a bummer. But yeah, so yeah, I just did a dinner up at the Hook Fishermen's Association last Tuesday. Fantastic. It was great. I did.
Now, that was all the fishermen that participate in the Commercial Fish Commercial Fish Hook Association of Cape Cod.
Right.
That's a cooperative of fishermen.
Yeah, and they have a beautiful house where they, you know, it's kind of their office, and they, you know, they do events and stuff. And they had the Amaroos, the father and son fisherman team, were there to speak.
Right.
And I did a demo on, I did a flatfish ceviche, and everyone loved it. It was really well received, and it was a good event. I learned a lot. So.
Right, and they, you know, the shell fishermen and the longline fishermen, they're the fishermen, they're the farmers of the sea. You know, the lobstermen and the longliners and the, you know, these guys that are like Les Hemela today. Yeah. You know, could you imagine, you know, having to go out on a day like today? This is the third snowstorm in the fourth weekend. We got about 5 inches of snow today, so it sucks if anybody really cares working out.
Well, I mean, the hard thing on Cape Cod, shellfish is very easy to deal with local, I mean, on shellfish mostly. But fish is very hard to get locally. A lot of the fish that comes in on the boats, it comes in at like 3 in the morning. It's processed and it's sent to Boston, New York, where they can get more money for it. And so a lot of the fish markets around here aren't serving Cape fish. I mean, they might not even, I mean, a lot of their fish, the salmon, it's either farmed or it's flown in from Alaska or Scotland or wherever, you know. And and my hope has always been to source only fish from Cape Cod.
Right.
And that's my goal. And I think I may have worked out a relationship where I can get that done. I don't want to say anything yet, but after that meeting in Chatham, I think I might be able to. I might be doing that very soon.
You know,
here,
I mean,
so.
A form of agriculture, being fishing, be it poultry farming, be it produce farming, be it you know, clam beds and shellfish beds, things change. You know, I mean, a lot of people think that, you know, it's still the same it was 100 years ago. Well, you know, the fishermen are affected right now with the fishery acts that are going on. They're not going to be able to harvest a lot of the amounts of fish that have, because somebody in Washington, D.C. has done a fish count, and they're not going to be able to harvest the fish that they normally have. So these commercial fishermen, you know, they're hurting just like everybody else. And with farmers, there's always somebody coming up with a better way to make the wheel turn, but they've really never had their hands dirty. They've never really shoveled pig manure or cleaned out a chicken coop or even planted a tomato plant. And, you know, I mean, they're living things that require 7 days a week. They're like kids, you know.
You make it sound so fun.
Right. Well, it is fun. It's beautiful. It's beautiful. It's a beautiful thing. Farming is a miracle.
It is.
You know, in this restaurant, everything that you do in this restaurant evolves around a farmer.
Yeah, absolutely.
You know, the cup of coffee that you serve, the cream that you make your creme brulee and all that with. Everything that you do in this restaurant evolves around the farmer. Even the bar, you know, I mean, the beer. I see you have Cape Cod beer on tap over there. That's Beth and Todd Marcus. They do an excellent job of employing local employees, resourcing the local
Yeah.
products that they can to create their beers.
And they even try to sell their spent grains locally and to make bread out of.
Right. They whatever they don't sell, I take, and my turkeys enjoy their spent grains. There's a lot of nutritional value to the wasted hops that doesn't go into the can or into the bottle as it is, and it's a nutritional thing that helps me offset a lot of costs, because being on the Cape, for some reason, I don't know why everything is 10 to 15% more expensive on the Cape,
really,
but I guess that's the
in
glory
summer.
of living on Cape Cod. Toby, anything else you got that's special? That's I know. Now your wife, she lives here. You have children that are involved in the local school system.
Yeah,
I hooked you up with the teacher, the health
in
Yarmouth. Did you ever get anything happen with the health?
I haven't. I mean, we met. I haven't done anything yet. I have to plan something and get back to her about doing a demo or something like that.
Local farmers that are watching this, they can get a hold of you here at the Lyric.
Sure. Please stop by.
The phone numbers stop by, go to the back door.
Yeah, come in the back door, say hi.
The local produce is always the best. It looks like it stopped snowing out there. It might be a great Saturday. Sometimes we could.
It's Friday, big guy.
It's Friday. It's Friday. Where are the tourists? We need the tourists. I would like to thank Toby for letting me interrupt him on a Friday. It's one of his busier days of the week. I know we're only in the first week of March.
Yeah, it's still busy, I'm telling you.
Do you have a website? Does Lyric have a website or anything up and running?
We do, of course. You're going to ask me that. I
Well, they
think
can
it's
go-
lyricrestaurant.com.
Lyric Restaurant.
Yeah. I'm not 100% sure, but I think so.
And your menu is changing?
It's online,
It's
My
online?
menu will change seasonally,
Seasonally?
as products come in.
When with all you farmers, get in line in back of me, Miss Scarlett's Blue Ribbon Farm, to come down and see Toby.
Yeah,
Toby,
come see me soon so we can get ahead of the season. You know?
Right. I want to say that Toby is a celebrity chef on Cape Cod. It's great to have been able to come into Toby's restaurant. Who's the owner? What's her name?
Ann Austin.
Ann Austin.
She's a singer.
She's a singer.
Thus the name Lyric.
Lyric.
Yeah.
She owns this nice establishment. It's a beautiful restaurant. It was remodeled a couple years ago.
Amazing, yeah.
Come to the Lyric, spend your money, visit with Toby. He'll come and visit you at the table if he's not busy. I know Toby's he's an overseer. He's creating, he's an overseer. There's nothing ever goes out of the kitchen unless it meets Toby's expectations, and God knows Toby's level of expectations is way up there. It's been great to come here with you, Toby.
Thank you, sir.
I would like to remind everybody that the Lyric is open Wednesday through Saturday, Sundays
Currently,
for brunch.
yeah.
We'll be a 7-day-a-week restaurant in season.
As we go along, we'll add Monday and Tuesday to the mix, and we'll drop brunch. I think in June, I believe we drop
Probably
brunch
after Memorial Day
yeah.
when all the summer people return.
Yeah, and then we'll go just 7 dinners by 4th of July. So.
Facebook Toby,
Please,
Twitter Toby.
Yeah. Follow me on Twitter, Chef Toby T. Hill, at Chef Toby T. Hill.
Yep. Again, we're going to end this program. I want to remind everybody that April 2nd is Ag Day at the State House. It's very important for everybody that's either a friend of a farmer, supports local chefs that buy from local farmers, to call your state legislator, tell them to be at Farm Day, to talk to the entourage that shows up from the Cape and Islands Farm Bureau. I am Jim Kneirem, the president of the Cape and Islands Farm Bureau. We represent right around 700 farmers here on Cape Cod that make a living off the sea and the land. You can contact me at farmerjimcapecod at comcast.net. Farmer Jim Cape Cod, comcast.net, with any of your farming questions, or if you have a show that you'd like me to do, or if you'd like me to to get some answers for you. I can help you through some regulatory issues. If you want to have chickens or pigs in your backyard, there are rules, and the rules are in place for public safety and health reasons, and there's a place for all of that in the world. But before I end this program today, I would like everybody to get smart, get local, buy fresh, buy local, and most importantly today, get fresh with a local farmer.
I get too fresh with you.
And on the 8th day, God looked down on his planned paradise and said, I need a caretaker. So God made a farmer.